From the studios of Books in Motion, this is Michael Bowen, reading The Menace of the Years, a River City novel, Book 5, by Frank Zafiro. Now let's begin with The Menace of the Years. The world dies over and over again, but the skeleton always gets up and walks. Henry Miller. Part 1. Chapter 1. Monday, December 27th, 1999. 03:26 hours. Officer Katie MacLeod jumped slightly at the alert tone that broke into the early morning winter silence which had settled into her patrol vehicle. She'd been staring at the amber screen of her newly installed mobile data terminal, trying to figure out all the commands to navigate through its various screens. She'd been at it for over half an hour, struggling with what seemed to be unnecessarily difficult key combinations for the simplest of functions. At least this graveyard shift had settled into a quiet one shortly after bar closing, allowing her to focus on learning this new tool. Computers were supposed to make things easier, she'd thought, not harder. The alert tone was accentuated by flashing text on the 4-inch screen. Baker 112, 16, and 22, came the familiar steady voice of Janice Kozlowski, one of the graveyard dispatchers. She didn't wait for the patrol units to acknowledge her initial call. 2808 East Joseph, report of burglary, in progress. Katie dropped her car into gear and started in that direction. There was a time when a call like this would have resulted in a flood of adrenaline, but now it barely registered a drip. Too many false alarms, she supposed, and too many times dealing with the real thing, she realized a moment later. Even so, she turned on her overhead lights, not bothering to engage her siren. Traffic was nearly non-existent at this hour, and there was no need to let the bad guys know she was coming. Janice continued her broadcast. The neighbor from 2809 reports 3 to 4 men approaching the victim house. One may have been carrying a rifle or shotgun. Calls into the residence go unanswered. 2808 East Joseph. Burglary in progress. At the mention of firearms, the missing adrenaline zinged through her. Katie eased through the S-curve, climbing to Illinois Avenue. The roads were mostly clear, but still moderately slick. Not quite chain weather, but bad enough to warrant lower speeds and extra attention to her driving. She reached for the microphone, instinctively waiting for Thomas Chisolm to acknowledge first. Baker 112, from Francis and Wall, came Chisolm's gravelly voice. Katie uttered a clipped, 16, copy, into the mic and returned her hand to the wheel. 122, 3400 West Carolina, Connor O'Sullivan transmitted, obviously out of the car and on his portable radio. She pressed her lips together, the thrill of catching a possible burglar momentarily dampened. Both men were outside of Baker sector. Chisolm was coming from a favorite graveyard patrol break location, a convenience store where officers frequently stopped in for coffee or to write reports. It was one of the few that was clean, had a few booths for seating inside, and an owner who was law enforcement friendly, and it was only 6 blocks into Adams sector. Sully's location was even deeper into Adams sector, off Indian trails. She knew why he was there, understood it completely, but it still meant that she was going to arrive on scene long before either of them. Janice obviously did the same math. Any unit closer than Baker 122? She asked. There was no reply. Katie knew James Kahn and Paul Hierro were out at jail, booking someone on a domestic violence call from an hour ago. Sergeant Shen had returned to police headquarters to do whatever sergeants did in their offices. Paperwork of some kind, she figured. Aaron Norris finally chimed in. Adam 105, I can start from Joe Albee. Not closer.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?